How's it going, everyone? So before we get started, I want to talk about my Instagram at Vehicle Virgins. If you're not following it, go ahead and follow it because I'm going to be responding to every single person's questions and comments. That's right, follow at Vehicle Virgins and I will respond to everyone's DM. As many of you guys know, I owned an E39 BMW M5 for 6 years. I love what the M5 represents. It's a luxurious sedan that's also fun to drive in the back roads, and with the click of a button or two, it becomes an absolute beast. The successor to the E39, the BMW E60, had one of the best engines BMW has ever created, that naturally aspirated V10. Oh my gosh, with the proper aftermarket exhaust equipped, that thing sounds absolutely glorious. But it suffered from, well, not looking all that great. The bangle butt and questionable electronics made it a fantastic car, but not a perfect car. Now the successor to that, the F10 BMW M5. Twin turbocharged, that was a big deal for BMW M. Now everything is turbocharged, so it doesn't seem out of the norm. But that 4.4 liter twin turbo V8 made a ton of power. The car was very fast, but it didn't wow me. That brings us to the F90 BMW M5. Thanks to some leaked information that is definitely official, you can tell by the documentation, although I imagine right before, about 5 minutes before posting this video, BMW, as a form of damage control, will fully release all of the information, but I'm positive that these specs are correct. The new car features a revamped version of the S63 motor, the 4.4 liter twin turbocharged V8, that was in the F10 BMW M5. However, it produces quite a bit more power. Now I can see this motor lasting for quite some time in future generations of BMW. Think about it for a second. All they have to do is slightly modify the turbos, do some ECU recalibration, and boom, the car has more power, and they can call it the next generation of the BMW M5. They make the car faster and faster each year, and it doesn't cost them all that much money. That's great for BMW's bottom line. It's a little bit boring, but the good news is for us is that means aftermarket tuners will be able to crank serious power out of the F90 M5, knowing that BMW is leaving a bunch left on the table for, of course, the competition package as well as future generations. The V8 now produces 600 horsepower. That's right, 600, and 553 pound-feet of torque. The engine is mated to an 8-speed ZF automatic transmission, which is able to push the car from 0 to 60 miles an hour in just 3.2 seconds. Now, 3.2 seconds is its official 0 to 60, which is already out of this world ridiculous. That is supercar fast. In fact, that's faster than a lot of supercars. But I imagine, given BMW, this is going to be slightly conservative, and I wouldn't be surprised if some magazines test it to below 3 seconds to sprint to 60 miles an hour. So how is it so quick? Well, this is the first BMW M car that's not an SUV to be all-wheel drive. That's right, the BMW M5 is not rear-wheel drive. Sort of. Now this will piss off many fanboys. In general, it will mostly piss off people who have never driven an M5 of any kind, but the purists will say that the car's handling characteristics have been sabotaged by the introduction of all-wheel drive. BMW, however, is smart enough to know that, and they've done some pretty cool things to mitigate those issues. Honestly, it's a necessity. To keep up with the power levels that AMG is producing, as well as Audi, they need all-wheel drive. Otherwise, the car won't even be able to go forward. They'll come out with a 700 horsepower variant of the M5 that does nothing but do burnouts, and then you get a Hellcat, and that's just not what the M5 is all about. The switch to all-wheel drive is welcomed in my book. The M5 is sought after as the ultimate daily drivable sedan, but now you can actually drive it year-round. If you live in a place that often snows or rains, have no fear, you can drive your M5 every day, no matter the weather. If you've enjoyed this video so far and you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I'm trying to hit 1 million subscribers by the end of September, and with each and every one of your help, I know it's possible. Let's get to more BMW stuff. The CEO of BMW came from Audi Sport, so clearly he knows a thing or two about how to build an all-wheel drive system. But of course, to please BMW enthusiasts and stay true to what BMW M stands for, you've got to have a rear-wheel drive mode. So that brings us to the most exciting part about the new BMW M5. Of course, there are tons of different driving modes. You can change the throttle response, the steering, the transmission settings, but the most important modes are four-wheel drive sport and two-wheel drive. Four-wheel drive sport mode sends most of the power to the rear wheels at all times. It also activates M Dynamic mode, the mode that's also known as, I want to have a ton of fun, but if I'm not that good of a driver and I almost crash, please save my ass so I don't ruin my expensive car. I imagine that mode will be what the majority of M5 owners use. It allows you to slide the car a bit, have some fun, and then catch you in case of an emergency. But what we really care about is two-wheel drive mode. With the click of a button, we're able to completely disconnect the front axle from the drivetrain, making the M5 100% rear-wheel drive. And the best part is, unlike a lot of systems where, yeah, it's most of the power in the rear, but a second you lose it, you try to do a donut, or you drift too heavily, the car reverts to all-wheel drive. Well, not so in the M5. Unless you click it back into four-wheel drive sport, or you restart the car, you will be left in rear-wheel drive fun mode. So off the bat, it really does seem like the BMW M5 is the best of both worlds. It's brutally quick off the line. It'll have those awesome driving characteristics you're used to because of its rear-wheel drive mode. And well, when I talk about the exterior and interior and show some pictures, you'll be pretty blown away as well. There is one glaring issue, however. The only transmission that's available is the 8-speed automatic. It makes me a bit sad thinking about how fun the E39 M5 was with the manual, thinking about what a straight-piped E60 M5 with the manual feels like. It seems like it's just part of the BMW M5 heritage. And it's also a very large differentiating factor between something like the AMG E63. You can't ever get that car in a manual. If the M5 is available in one, that's a reason in itself to go for BMW. Well, I hope that they introduce a manual in years to come. Honestly, at this point, I highly doubt it. But with the new F90 M5, it seems like an amazing turnaround point for BMW. BMW M division has kind of gone downhill lately, apart from the BMW M2. And the M5 might be just what M enthusiasts are hoping for in terms of revamping the brand and making, even myself personally, passionate about BMW once again. The tires are 275s in the front and 285s in the rear. Note the pretty square setup. Optional is Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires. Honestly, it shouldn't be optional, that should just be standard. It's the best tire in the game, and it'll be very helpful considering the car is so damn fast. In the front, you've got 15.5-inch rotors, 6-piston brakes, and in the rear, 14.9s. Optional is carbon ceramics, although, come on guys, the M5, given its weight, is not really a track car. It's really a waste of your money to get the carbon ceramics. Now, what is a new car without the availability of a first edition model, right? Of course, there's going to be problems with the initial launch in the first year, but in order to convince consumers to spend money on the initial car, you develop a first edition. Well, there's going to be 400 of these worldwide. 50 of them are going to come to the US. The car comes in frozen dark red, this stunning matte color that makes the M5, which already looks aggressive, look that much meaner. The interior is smoke white with some red accents. I bet this car is going to be pretty hard to get given the limited availability of it in the United States, but it does come with a plaque with the number of the chassis you have out of 400 to let people know that, hey, I have number 69 out of 400, so I'm pretty badass. On the inside, the car looks good. And I mean really good. There's a host of upgrades and little tweaks that make it stand out from the regular BMW 5 Series. Of course, that's good when you're spending M5 money. Now, pricing hasn't been released yet, but expect it to be expensive. On the inside, my favorite part has to be the red accents. You've got a red stop-start button for the M1 and M2 modes that you can select via the steering wheel. Those are red as well, along with contrasted stitching that is red throughout the interior and the little bits and pieces that just look phenomenal. The seats also look phenomenal, and this is a good thing because in years past, the BMW M5 seats haven't looked all that good. They actually remind me a bit of Audi seats, and that is a compliment. The car features BMW's new Idrive system and gesture control, which actually works quite well. And it also includes a self-driving mode that allows you to stay in the lines on the freeway. What that mode actually means is sometimes it works, but mostly it's just to brag to your friends that your car can drive itself. But it can't really, but it sort of can. On the outside, the BMW M5 looks more muscular than ever. It is brilliant looking, and that's not something that could be said about the F10 generation. The front end looks kind of like a BMW M2 and an AMG E63 had sex. That is also a massive compliment. On the side, we've got the signature BMW M vent. Around the rear, we've got quad exhausts and a great looking rear diffuser. The new M5 serves as a radical change for BMW. the first M car that's not an SUV to offer all-wheel drive, potentially the first BMW M5 to not offer a manual, but at the same time, I'm so excited for it. This is what BMW needed, a car that was really a standout from the rest of the competition, and something to get the M enthusiasts passionate about the brand again. We haven't had a car like that, other than the BMW M2, for a while from BMW. Honestly, it could very well be a perfect replacement to this S-Class, given the fact that I did own an E39 M5, and also given the fact that I do miss the E39 M5. Well, there you have it. Everything you need to know about the F90 BMW M5. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next video.